My pleasure to speak to you today about the Bachelor of Health and Physical Education degree, also known as the BHPE. My name is Giselle Marcoux. I'm the Academic Advisor and Practicum Coordinator for this degree, and I've been in this role for 11 years. So for the next 30 minutes, you'll become familiar with our 4 majors, learn what makes each unique, and hear what our alumni are doing. Introducing the majors are specialists in each field. They'll be teaching you in the degree. I can assure you that they're the absolute best because they're committed to helping you become competent, confident, and to transition into a career upon graduation. We're going to start with physical literacy, go on to athletic therapy. Next will be sport and recreation management, and lastly, ecotourism and outdoor leadership. I encourage you to listen to the whole recording. You might be surprised to learn what each of the majors offer. To begin, Jill Parnell, who's the head of the department, will say a few words. Jill.
The Bachelor of Health and Physical Education degree is very broad and is designed to provide you with a variety of different career opportunities. We also like to ensure that our students get a very hands-on experience, as well as the opportunity to work in the community through practicum opportunities and some international experiences through field schools. I'll now pass it on to Dr. Van Wyk, who can talk a little bit more about the physical literacy degree.
Thank you, Jill. So yes, my name is Nadine Van Wyk, and I am the coordinator of the physical literacy program at Mount Royal. Some of you may be familiar with the term kinesiology, recognizing that it's really the study of anatomy and movement, and that's one of the elements that we do within our physical literacy degree. But physical literacy is much more broad than kinesiology. And so in this visual, you can see that our program is going to focus on 4 particular areas that really help people live their best life, from infancy through to adulthood. And so if you decide to choose our physical literacy major, you will take courses in exercise physiology, biomechanics. You will also have some experiential learning in the gymnasium, doing some activity-based courses. But our program also focuses on these other 3 domains. How do people know the strategies and tactics of gameplay? The importance of eating and sleeping on their well-being, the importance of connecting with others, as well as recognizing cultural diversity for physical activity, and how physical health and wellness impacts our whole well-being. So in our physical literacy degree, not only we take those variety of different courses, but we have some different opportunities for lab experiences. So on the next slide, I want to show you a quick visual of our labs. At Mount Royal, majority of the courses you will enroll in will occur twice a week. And our physical literacy major has the largest intake of students. So in your first and second year, you might have classes where you will see more than 100 students on one day. But the good news is that on that first day of your class, even though you'll be with 100 students, you're learning about the theory, the importance of the information. And then on the second day, you're actually broken into smaller groups of students from 20 to 30 is the class size. And so that really allows you a great hands-on opportunity where you will go to places like the exercise physiology lab, where you may do elements of physical testing, examining how people throw, what their VO2 max is on the treadmill. You may also go into our anatomy lab, where you will have the opportunity to work with those anatomical models in the back of that classroom there, looking at how the body moves and works, looking at muscles, etc. So that will be part of your experience at Mount Royal. On the next slide, what I want to share with you is the idea that one of the things that makes the physical literacy program really unique is that you will have 2 opportunities throughout your degree for practicum experiences. The first one is a 52-hour practicum, which is a 52-hour job shadow. And the other one, which will happen in your 3rd year, is a 160-hour experience. The benefit of this is that you get to choose what it is that is of interest to you as you go through your degree. So you get to put the feelers out to determine what you might be interested in. And you also might do an opportunity where you engage in an activity and you recognize quickly that that's not what it is that you want to do. I wanted to highlight a couple of those opportunities for you. So the first is we've had students work as strength and conditioning coaches at Mount Royal or other facilities across the city. We've had students work with Smile Therapy, which is working with an organization that helps children with developmental disabilities. Students have also worked with the Autism, Asperger, and Friendship Society, as well as UQuest, which is an organization that helps people with early onset dementia, and the recreation facility, Vivo for Healthier Generations. We've had students help with policy development for equity, diversity, and inclusion. But what I think you're most interested in is, what can I do with a physical literacy degree? And we often get this question. And my immediate answer is that the benefit to a physical literacy degree is that you have multiple opportunities ahead of you as far as career choices go. There's not one particular area in which you need to go. So a couple of examples of what students are doing to date. We've got students working as a child development facilitator with Renfrew Educational Services. We have people working as kinesiologists. You will also have the opportunity, if you're interested, to acquire your CSEP designation so you can act and work as a personal certified trainer. We've got strength and conditioning coaches. We also have students who become entrepreneurs and have become business owners, as well as students may choose to extend their education by doing other education. Students from our degree have gone on to do an education degree, as well as physiotherapy, occupational therapy, and even medicine. So the world is wide open to you in terms of what it is that you'd like to do with this degree. So I hope you consider the physical literacy major. And then next, I would like to introduce my colleague, Dr. Mark Lefebvre in the athletic therapy program.
So first of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Mark Lefebvre and I'm the athletic therapy program coordinator. I like to drop in a few of my favorite teams in here. So I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan. So what does an athletic therapist do? I thought I'd throw in a Minnesota Vikings fan reference. Honestly, most of the time you see people go into this setting where they're running onto the field and taking care of athletes. And that's typically the traditional way that athletic therapists find employment, is working with professional teams and national teams, things like that, elite athletics. But it's much broader than that. The profession has really evolved to the point where we help all people go from injury when they get hurt in their endeavors to trying to return them to whatever it is that they want to be able to do from a physical activity perspective. So how do we do that? Often we work in a field setting. Like I said earlier, you saw people running onto the field. So we have a pre-hospital care component to what we do, which usually involves first responder. So we're the first people on the scene, but then we also move into a clinical setting. So that's the second part of what we do. And we'll use a variety of techniques, whether it be manual therapy, exercise therapy, reconditioning. So we tend to build on a lot of the principles that occur in the physical literacy program that Nadine just talked about. So as a result, the first 2 years of the athletic therapy program actually are shared with the physical literacy program. So we take those foundational skills that are being taught in physical literacy, and then we start to apply them into a injury or pathology state in the last 2 years of the program. You usually get employable opportunities coming out of our program because we try to prepare you for the athletic therapy certification process. So we prepare you for the Canadian Athletic Therapists Association certification process. And there are a whole bunch of practicum opportunities within our program that help prepare you for these exact employment areas. So one of them obviously is with sport or elite level athletics. So working in junior hockey, most junior hockey teams have an athletic therapist working for them. And honestly, those jobs are plentiful and we don't have enough people to fill them throughout Alberta, Saskatchewan, and British Columbia. But then we also have clinical opportunities where people can work in private clinics, either by themselves as athletic therapists, or they can work in multidisciplinary clinics, working with chiropractors, physicians, physiotherapists at times, massage therapists. So any one of those settings is where you could end up. Lastly, our students do end up going into other degrees, such as medicine or grad school, like physiotherapy or occupational therapy, much like physical literacy. I will say that one of the differences between physical literacy and athletic therapy is that last 2 years and the fact that we have a much higher practicum load. And so people should be aware that that is a big challenge. And lastly, I would just say, if you are thinking about going on to a different degree, whether it be medicine or physio, grades are important, and it is important to focus on that, but more importantly, it's important to focus on the learning that goes along with it. So thank you. And I'll pass it on to David.
Hello, my name is David Legg, and I'm the coordinator of the Sport and Recreation Management Program. I've been a faculty member at Mount Royal for 23 years. So yes, I did start when I was 16, and I am halfway through my career because I do love my job and I have no plan on retiring anytime soon. So for my colleagues who are on this call thinking that they're going to get my office soon, the answer is no. Next slide, please. Similar to my colleagues who have spoken about the other two programs, the curriculum in sport and recreation management is split. And one of the benefits, I would argue, is the combination of both sport and recreation management courses. In many programs across the country, they'll choose one of the two. So they'll focus on sport management or they'll focus on recreation management. Part of our thinking for why we're trying to combine the two is to provide a breadth of opportunities for our students, many of whom come into the program without really fully knowing the variety of options that are available to them. So that's one of the benefits. The second is that students in the sport and rec, again, similar to the other two programs you've heard, get to take classes with the other three majors. So for instance, one of the courses that I teach is adapted physical activity, where we look at sport and recreation through the lens of persons with a disability. Sport and recreation management students take that class alongside students from athletic therapy, physical literacy, and ecotourism and outdoor leadership. And they get an opportunity to interact, learn from, and combine all of the great things of our four programs, but into their own specialty area. In the Sport and Rec program, students will also take a number of courses in the Bissett School of Business. And the advantages to that, in my opinion, are that it provides opportunities for students to find employment outside of the sport and recreation industry. So upon graduation, we've had a number of students who have chosen to go into sport management, for instance, working with the Calgary Flames. 10 years down the road, they transitioned to working for Calgary Economic Development. And they've got the foundations from the courses in the Bissett School of Business that allow them to do that. And obviously there would be electives. And the other part that we really encourage, and this is not dissimilar to the other three programs, is we really encourage our students to pursue international opportunities, whether that's through field schools. We've run a number in sport and recreation management, including one to Europe, looking at the legacy of hosting Olympic and Paralympic Games, and a second to Australia, looking at the sporting system there. And we've had a number of students who have done study abroad semesters at a variety of schools, primarily in English-speaking countries, but including New Zealand, Australia, and the United States. Next slide, please. For practicums, both Nadine and Mark alluded to this. You can see some examples of the opportunities that are there for our students. And these are actual practical experiences that have occurred in the last couple of years, but they range. And I would say that one of the true strengths, and perhaps this is in part because of faculty such as Nadine, Mark, myself, and Ian, who have been around for such a long time, and also Giselle as your practicum coordinator, we are deeply entrenched within the entire active economy system, not just in Calgary, but Alberta and nationally. And so our outreach to opportunities for you to get practical experiences, I would argue, are unparalleled, certainly in a Western Canada context. Next slide, please. Finally, alumni and careers. And similar to Mark, I also have favorite teams, but unlike Mark, my teams win. And so the Pittsburgh Steelers would be an example of that. And I have not had a student work with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So for those of you that are listening, that would be my ask, is that becomes your goal, is to find the first professional job with the Pittsburgh Steelers upon graduation. I will say, however, and again, this goes back to the fact that the teams in the Sport and Recreation Management Program are winners, is we're also very entrenched with Calgary Sports Entertainment Corporation. So we have many students that work with the Calgary Flames, Calgary Stampeders, Edmonton Oilers, Vancouver Canucks. Our students are involved in all ranges of professional sport. In addition, though, high performance sport, community recreation, entrepreneurship, philanthropy, and as I mentioned earlier, in business. We also have a student who's the general manager of the Maui Golf and Country Club. Again, why not? With that, I'm going to pass it over to my friend and colleague, Ian Sherrington, who will talk about ecotourism and outdoor leadership. Ian.
Thank you to my colleagues. My name is Ian Sherrington. I'm the coordinator of the Ecotourism and Outdoor Leadership Program. This is a very interesting program that combines two aspects that are seemingly quite different, but they actually come together very nicely within the context of our four-year degree. Much like fish and chips, they really do belong on the same plate. So we have ecotourism, which is essentially the study of sustainable tourism that has a firm grasp on things like cultural awareness and sensitivity, indigenous ways of knowing, understanding the economics of sustainable tourism. And we have courses, of course, that allow this to be understood by our students in a deep and meaningful way. And then on the other side of the coin, we have the outdoor leadership aspects of our degree, which really take into account that the outdoors is an uncompromising place. It's an amazingly potent modality for learning about the world and about yourself and other aspects, but it also is uncompromising. And so there's a high degree of understanding of the safety and the planning that needs to go into running events in the outdoors. And so we have a whole raft of courses that look into how you conduct yourself in activities in the outdoors, how do you plan safely and effectively these events that occur in outdoor settings, and really sort of critical thinking and decision making that revolves around that. We also have courses that give you a really good firm grasp on the understanding of the natural world, leading to an awareness and a sensitivity for environmental stewardship around things like ecology, physical geography, flora, fauna, and that sort of thing. Next slide, please. We also have a whole lot of extracurricular aspects that happen within the ETOL program, which is very much a huge part of community building, but also the building of your understanding of this amazing sector. And so we have things like field schools, which David mentioned that he runs as well, and we've been running them for about 15 years. In fact, we were the first program in the university to run field schools. We ran field schools to Central America, Peru, and then we're going to be running one to Dominica, the small tropical island in the Caribbean, which will be starting next spring. And then we run field schools to northern areas as well, like Baffin Island in Canada's Arctic, and to Norway in Northern Europe. We also have things like school collaborations where we do real events with schools and other organizations outside of the university. We do a whole lot of out trips and expeditions where students can really get their hands dirty, feel the paddle as they canoe down a river or the skis on their feet, and really intimately get an understanding of what goes into doing these activities in the outdoors. And then we also have our sort of amazing event that happens every year called the ETOL Film Night, which is actually coming up on the 18th of November, which I would highly recommend if you're interested in this program to actually look for and get a ticket and attend, because it will give you a really good understanding of what it is we do in the ecotourism and outdoor leadership program. And then finally, we have a speaker series where we have alumni who come in and talk about their experiences in the actual sector. Next slide, please. We have practicum opportunities as well. We have an incredible raft, both internationally and in a domestic sense. I'm just going to mention one of them. I'll just highlight the Growing Roots Forest Play School, which was actually started by an alumni of our program. And she runs an amazing cutting edge play school in Cochrane. And they have offered practicum placements to a number of our students, and some of them have actually levered into full-time jobs. But lots and lots of opportunities in practicum areas. Next slide, please. And then who is the ideal ETOL graduate, which of course kind of brings us into the discussion as to what you would do with this degree. A lot of people ask that question because it is such a broad and a new sector, really. And so you can see that we have looked at what our ideal graduate would be, and it would be a purposeful explorer. So someone who is willing to really put the time and energy into thinking about and being critical about decisions that they make, but being willing to take those risks. And so you can kind of see a list there of different aspects that people might get involved in after they graduate from our program, including tourism professionals, parks interpreters, environmental educators, public safety such as ski patrol, avalanche awareness, and wilderness therapy, people working with youth at risk in natural areas. So a whole raft of different areas that people get involved in. So I hope we can see you at ETOL Film Night on November 18th, and thank you so much for listening. Over to you, Giselle.
Thank you, Ian, David, Mark, Nadine, and Jill. To close this presentation, I want to direct you to our website, where you'll find more detailed information on the majors. The website is mtroyal.ca/BHPE. As well, you can request an information package or search our frequently asked questions page, which covers MRU, admission and financial aid awards. This is at the mru.ca/ask website. If you go to mru.ca/info sessions, you'll be able to attend further admissions related information sessions. And once you're ready to apply, you can go to mru.ca/future student. That concludes today's presentation. I hope you're very excited to become a part of this degree. We want you to take care, and we'll see you real soon. Thank you.